What's up, everybody? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Frankie Finn proudly brings to you our weekly Q&A. That's an old wrestling reference for you guys who grew up in the 90s like me. And just a quick shout out to you guys, by the way, if especially for those of you guys who are in stage 1 or stage 2 of your agency growth, meaning you've got 5+ clients, anywhere up to like 30 virtual assistants, anywhere in that range where you're just starting to build that momentum. One of the things that we're really good at is helping you guys take that off a whole lot faster. So if you're interested in checking that out, you might be a fit for our mastermind. Give a brother a holler, and I'll send you some details in a Google Doc. Anyways, first question I got here is Lana, I'm not quite sure the correct way. Account management tips that can free up your time. I'm very experienced in it, but I'm certainly over-nurturing my clients. What are your monthly SOP and how to remove myself from this task? I feel I always have to provide consulting, strategic advice in order to keep my clients, but that takes my energy. All goes into emails, follow-ups, and Zooms. My retention is 100% for the last year, but it limits my growth. I've just hired a PA and want to improve the process. So Lena, there's a couple of things that I'll tell you. One of the things that actually jumps out to me in what you're saying, it is not actually your SOP. Firstly, I should, by the way, congratulate you on the fact that your clients are staying. 100% retention is amazing, so you should be like super stoked about that, especially with everything that's happened in the world. If your clients are requiring like the over-nurturing is a good thing, by the way, but how you're doing it may not. But if they're requiring all this ongoing energy and you have to consult and you have to do emails and you have to do meetings and things like that, there's two possible things that I see that really jump out at me. One of those is actually just the selection of clients themselves, and it's almost a proportional relationship where, what's up, Brother Wayne? Brother B! It's a proportional relationship I've seen that the clients who have more money, as they have more money, time goes down with it. And as the clients have no money or very little of it, they have a whole bunch of time for meetings and things like that. So one of the things that you can easily do is just within your niche is begin to target and select the higher net worth, more affluent, more people who are already winning kind of clients. And what you'll find is they just don't have time for meetings. In fact, usually often, in my case, like I work with a lot of like really successful lawyers. I have to pull teeth to get them for a meeting, right? For real, if I just want them for 10 minutes, it's kind of a pain in the ass. Like they're not looking for me to meet with them and talk about things because they're just too busy and too successful to have the time to do that. So what you're saying possibly suggests that you got a bunch of kind of like beginner types or less than successful businesses, and therefore they need more hand holding. So one of the things you can do is just raise your bar for what it takes to work with you. And another thing, this is something we talked about in our mastermind, the emails, the follow-ups, the Zooms, as you called it, all the over-nurturing. There's a really big concept on client communication that will kind of change how you look at it. And that is, are you playing offense or are you playing defense? And most agencies play defense. So what they do is they work for the client for 30 days. At the end of the month, they send a 30-day report. If the client emails them, they ask. The problem with that kind of setup is when clients want meetings and stuff from you, it has to be done on their time. So if a client only has an available phone call at 8 at night, you got to take the phone call at 8 at night. If they want to talk for 90 minutes before they get to the point, and this can be like a real drain. So one of the things that we've done is taken to playing offense in our agency, where we let our clients know what's going on and what's going next. And we do this over little Loom videos, and I do this every second Friday. And the beauty of it, because I'm playing offense, I get to do that on my schedule. So I can actually communicate to every single client I have, usually in less than an hour, back to back on one Friday, just going bing, 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 recording like 2-minute video, 3-minute video. Here's what we're doing. Here's why we're doing it. Here's what's next for us. And doing it this way allows us to run meetings on our own time. So I'm still over-nurturing the client, but not in a way where they get to demand all my time. So I would suggest you look at those two things, because those are the two kind of red flags. I'd like to ask you some more questions about that if you'd be open to sharing it privately. But chances are you're just going after clients who have more time than money, and that's half the problem right there. And then the other part of it is just like I said, that they're the ones requesting the meetings, and so therefore you got to talk for 90 minutes and those kind of things. I like doing it 2-minute style, and you'll have a lot more fun with it, I think, in general. All right, next question, Adam. Does anyone do rank and rent websites? I'm quite interested in the concept, wondering where I could get more info on the model. Well, the model's pretty simple, Adam, is you build a website in your niche. So like, I'll give you an example, one we did. Let's say your niche was roofing at the time. We did a lot of rank and rent with roofing websites. So you find a roofing website and you rank it, and then you sell it for a monthly price. Now, I'll tell you just from experience, you'll actually probably have a much better, easier time selling leads instead of just straight rank and rent SEO. But having said that, one of the beauties of rank and rent, I'll tell you, this is like one of the hidden secrets, is if you do SEO for a client, they're going to want you to go after the most competitive, the hardest keywords. They're going to take the longest time. You do rank and rent, you can find like usually like 10, 20 niche keywords that are actually relatively easy to rank for. And we used to be able to rank those like way quicker. And then you can like sell leads that are generated from those for a flat price. For the sake of easy going, I would say, depending on your niche, the best way to do it is just to sell the leads, good and bad alike, for one set price. And what you'll find is it's the lowest maintenance way to grow. You won't get the most money out of it, but it'll be the least amount of headaches. So that's just been my experience. And then the price will depend on your niche and the type of leads you're getting. But $30 to $100 is probably pretty typical per lead. And then that's it. You just sell them. Francisco. Does anyone use the flat fee plus return on ad spend to charge your clients? If so, what do you charge? Yes, it's very, very normal in Facebook ads, especially e-commerce, Francisco. And you can also, by the way, this is one of the things you can do to increase your profitability regardless of what niche you're in, is simply offer like a revenue share on top of your whatever your monthly fee is. So let's just say you're charging $2,000 a month or whatever it is. You can easily put plus 15% of profits. Now, there are some niches where that doesn't fly. Like, I actually don't do this in the legal space, but it's not because I can't do that model and make it work. It's just because legally we're not allowed to do that. Lawyers can only pay those kind of fee to other lawyers, and I'm not licensed as a lawyer. But otherwise, you can easily put like hey, as we improve your profits, I want 15% of that. And you'd be amazed that as you do it long term, that'll actually be your greatest source of revenue. So yes, anywhere from like 5 to 15% is typical, I would say, depending on that. Lionel. What's a great method to research top performing keywords, ads, offers, websites? I'll tell you, there's one website, Lionel, that is the best site on planet Earth for this kind of thing. And it's so obvious, and most of us don't do it. And it is called Amazon. Amazon has a book on everything that people buy. The offers themselves are made as headlines of books. You can see the comments of books and what people liked and didn't like and what problems they had and what they're trying to break out of. If you just spend a couple hours doing research in your niche on Amazon, you will crush it in your niche way more than other people because you'll be so dialed in. Dustin, this wasn't really an agency question, but we're doing some stuff in our agency where we're combining this. Is it too late to invest in cryptocurrencies? No, I know it can feel like that because the real wave started probably in 2010 when Bitcoin, you could have it for $3 a coin, and now they're selling for almost 60 grand. It probably feels like you missed out, but no, it is not done, and the banks and governments are printing money, so there's always niches within anyway. So it's never too late to start investing, period. Not just in crypto, but you'd be amazed. Like you can get started in investing with a $25 silver coin. Like, you don't need to have gazillions of dollars to get started in investing. You can grow your income with $20. Noi, been feeling a bit demotivated and lost recently with growing the agency. What do you do to help refocus and organize your days? I would say two things. One is morning rituals. Like, for real, I'm a big believer in like spend your morning the way you need to before you do client work. Get clear on your goals and those things. And then the second thing is to get really clear about what's got you demotivated, because usually what happens is it's not always like a lack of motivation. Like, sometimes people build agencies that are unsustainable. I've seen that a lot, where people build agencies that are just, you can only grow because the way you've structured it is wrong, and they think it's a motivation problem. Like, I'll give you an example. I talked to a guy doing SEO, comes to mind. He had, I don't know, 9, 10 SEO clients, and he was full managing it all, and he wanted to bring in virtual assistants, but every job was just a little bit custom, wasn't so easy to bring in help, and he said, I feel kind of unmotivated. And the issue wasn't unmotivated, really, even though it seems that way. It's like just a broken structure that needs fixed. So you got to look at those underlying things, because chances are there's a limiting thing that can be removed. Eli Goldratt calls this the theory of constraints. There's a constraint in your business that you probably may not be seeing. So figure out what that constraint is and remove it, and what you'll find is more than likely your motivation goes up with it. Moha. Guys, as an agency, what hosting do you prefer to use for your clients, and who pays the bill, you or your clients, and it is under the monthly package? I've seen it done lots of ways, Moha. I personally, like when I do web design stuff, which I don't do a lot of anymore, but I like to just have one flat fee for whatever, like 100 or 200 or 300 a month or whatever you're charging, and then I just manage everything for them. It's easier that way, and then you pay the hosting out of your own stuff. As far as host, right now I'm using DreamHost. Relatively happy with them. There's a lot of good hostings. I wouldn't sweat over it too much, to be honest. But it depends on what your niche and how much traffic. If you're dealing with a local business and they're just going to get 1,000 visitors a month, that's one thing. If you're dealing with like a client who has a blog in the entertainment niche, I have a friend of mine, for example, who has a blog that gets 2 million visitors a month. You're not probably just going to get by with the shared hosting package from HostGator. So it does depend a little bit, but I would say DreamHost. I'm happy with them. Melissa, a correctly built content-driven website for a service business. What are you charging? I'm charging $2,000, but honestly, the work's intense, and many of my local guys who've had a domain name for years were sitting on page 12 previously, shot up for one major keyword in less than a week, so I think I should charge more, but I'm unsure. Like feedback. Yeah, Melissa, I'll give you really pro advice to make your life super easy. What's up, Ilkaby? The first thing is to start, instead of selling your thing like I sell content websites, start selling it as a case study of what it's done for other people, including the rankings part of it. Because if that's part of the results you're creating for people, you need to make out of that, because you're not selling the deliverable like you think you are. And I'll give you an example of this. I have a company that I used to compete a lot with called MedNet in the plastic surgery space, and they used to sell websites for $40,000, and that was, depending on how long you bought it, was 2 to 3 years a lease. So you didn't even own your own website for 40 grand. But part of the reason that MedNet can get 40 grand for a website is because a plastic surgeon has an average client of like 20, 25,000. So the plastic surgeon's thinking, if I just get also seen people develop little content websites to sell little hobby businesses, and they charge $500, and that $500 is pulling teeth. So part of how you're going to get more money, which alludes to, is just who you make the websites for. So I would suggest make a case study and aim your case study at more of the web design clients who you've worked with who have money, and less about like, hey, we have 2K plus, it's a 2K website with 5 pages of content, because that's not what they really want. They want the end result that the website's going to create, and it sounds like you've helped a lot of people, especially in the local business space, to do that. So replicate that, make that happen more on purpose. Walter, given all the changes in algorithms and red tape and social media fatigue, are Facebook ads even worth it anymore? Has this market become too saturated? Walter, this is a really good question. It's never too saturated that you can't make it work. There wouldn't be anybody on it, but I'll tell you, this is a cycle that happens, and if you ever read Eugene Schwartz, Breakthrough Advertising, it's one of those really old copywriting books. It's worth reading. He talks about, like, in a market, the first person who gets into the market really just has to say what it is. So if you think about, like, early 1900 advertising, if you, I'll give you an example, right? Like, there's people around here in Mexico that sell tortillas, and that's their whole sign, tortillas, right? Like, that's the advertising. And when you're the first person selling tortillas, that's all you need. Then what happens is a market reaches a new stage of saturation where the second person comes in and they might say cheaper tortillas, better pricing, more of them. We have bigger tortillas, and they niche off. And then what ends up happening is those two people will make bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger promises until it stretches the bounds of believability. And so what you need to do when you start getting into where most markets are, including what you're alluding to, is you need to come up with something new and exciting within it, which can be like a new mechanism. So a good example of this is there's a lot of guys selling Facebook ad messenger bots, right? It's like a little bit different than the same Facebook ad, come hire me, that you've heard a gazillion times. And then there's some other people doing, like, for example, in my world, there's a lot of people doing what we call cold tapping, which is converting Facebook leads without getting on the phone. So you help people close that, right? So you got to find your little niche within a niche that's kind of like new and exciting, and that's probably half the battle. And if you do that, you'll survive in any market, in any space. So, there's new platforms coming in. Like I just had a client reach out and ask me if we could do some TikTok advertising. I'm going to be checking it out later today. I'd be curious to see how it is. And I'm sure that TikTok will follow the same pattern, right? In the beginning, you probably get really gazillion cheap leads. I actually have friends who got Google AdWords clicks for a penny at the start of it. But of course, now those same clicks cost them like 20, 30, 40 bucks in the legal space. There's one keyword, best mesothelioma lawyer, which goes all the way up to $1,000 for one click. I think Google sends you a button or a hat or something like that. And anyway, with those niches is the competition's always going to come in. So this, like, reinventing to find a new mechanism is really the key to getting out of those oversaturated box. Because when I first sold Facebook ads in SEO, it was the same thing. It was very rare. There weren't a lot of people doing it, and so we were in demand. But then give it 5 years, 10 years, and it's become completely saturated. So you have to find a new mechanism and a new way to make it unique again. So that's what your challenge is. You do that. There's always a way to stand out. And if you need some help with that, shoot me a message. And I just want to give you guys a reminder. If you're not following along on YouTube, get on there. I'm about to do some. We're doing awesome videos, but they're about to get a new level of entertaining, not just cool agency stuff. And as well, if you guys are interested in the mastermind, if you're at stage 1 where you got 5, 10 plus clients, or you're anywhere all the way up to stage 2 where you got about 30 virtual assistants, I'd say between those two ranges, our sweet spot is, helping you scale that with way, way less headaches and way, way less meetings and way, way less client pushback, and done in a way where, I don't know if you've seen some of the posts, but our people are getting in, no meetings, no headaches, none of that crazy stuff. So, and the more money part doesn't suck either, making the offers easy to say yes to and all of that. So if you guys are interested in that, we have some really good tools for helping you scale that whole thing. And that's all I got for you guys this week. It is hot as balls out here, so I'm going to go back into the air conditioning, and may the force be with you.